So I've been getting a few questions about how people should prepare and things like that for Grandmasters coming up. If you guys haven't taken a look, here are the Grandmasters that we're going to have available this season. You're going to have the Glassway returning, Fallen Saber returning, Warden of Nothing, the Disgraced, Inverted Spire, and Insight Terminus. Glassway is coming back for the first time since season 12. Fallen Saber was in last season. Warden of Nothing was in last season. And Insight Terminus was also in last season. Returning again is Inverted Spire and the Disgraced. The challenging ones for this season are, for a lot of people, are probably going to be Insight Terminus and the Glassway. Both of these are probably going to be the biggest hangups for a lot of teams and a lot of players. Fallen Saber, Warden of Nothing, these two are going to be free, as will Inverted Spire. And the Disgraced is honestly one of my favorite Grandmasters, but it's kind of like in that medium range, you know? But yeah, these two are going to be super free. These two will be kind of like that medium difficulty, with Inverted Spire being super free as well. And then these two will be on the harder difficulty for a lot of teams. Now, when we take a look at the seasonal artifact, we already know that we're going to need all three mods for Grandmasters. No matter the season, you're always going to need all three mods for Grandmasters. It happens every time. And especially with Warden of Nothing being a Grandmaster, we are going to need all three mods specifically for even just that one Grandmaster as well. Now, not everyone on your team will need those, but it is important that you have them unlocked for your team. For this season, I'm highly recommending for everybody to have Unstoppable Grenade Launcher unlocked with Breach and Clear. You're going to want both of those. If you're running Unstoppable Grenade Launcher, or if you're running Anarchy, or if you're running any other grenade launcher in a Grandmaster, you're going to want to have, if it is an Unstoppable, one that has Unstoppable champions, you're going to want this mod. And in addition to that, you are always going to want Breach and Clear. In addition to that, I'm highly recommending Anti-Barrier Scout Rifle, Overload Hand Cannon, and Anti-Barrier Auto Rifle. In Grandmasters, we don't like being close to enemies. We don't want to have to deal with that, so I'm not going to recommend Overload Submachine Gun, nor am I going to recommend Unstoppable Sidearm. Now, the caveat to this that I will make an exception for is that with Overload Submachine Gun, you can, of course, run everybody's favorite Ikelos SMG. Any of those. I mean, either of those. So that is like the small case I could make, because of course with that Ikelos SMG you'll be able to make Warmind Cells, and in addition to that, it also has it's an arc element, so it's a good thing to have on there. Now, when we take that a step farther, bringing up Warmind Cells, that leads us into our next one. So Warmind's Decree, especially for the Hunters and Titans, I'm going to highly recommend that you guys have this on if you can. In addition to that, Hammer of the Warminds, I was testing that out today during my my solo Master 100k that we just did. That with the Overload champion and Unstoppable champions is going to be huge, especially if you're not running Overload. If you're not running Overload hand cannon, that's gonna be awesome. You know, being able to back up your team with Warmind Cells. You know, in like a worst case kind of scenario. If you are a Warlock or a Titan, I'm going to recommend that you have Surge Detonators on. For Hunters, very rarely, if not ever, are you running Arc Strider in a GM, unless it's just to get a check mark for your Conqueror title. So I'm not going to recommend this for Hunters, but for the Titans and Warlocks, this is going to be extremely necessary. The Unstoppable Schwarzschild Condenser. This is going to be huge for Unstoppables if you are a Titan or a Hunter. So if you're a Titan or a Hunter, you are going to want this one. Because if you're a Titan, odds are at some point you're going to be running Ursas. And if you're a Hunter, majority of the time you're going to be running one of the Tethers. So you're going to want this mod. My last must-have mod on here, the rest of these are all kind of like your personal preference, what you like. But the must-have mod I'm going to say here is Ashes to Assets. This one is nuts, especially for Omnioculus Hunters that are in the Grandmasters. Just because you're getting your grenades back so fast, you're just going to be able to chuck grenades and charge your super really fast. Some other good ones, of course, Impulse Recycler, Energy Accelerant, and Glacial Inheritance again. these are great. I really like these. So do I also like Sundering Blast. Like, I like all of these, but the damage output that Sundering Blast gives at high levels is not significant enough to rock. And in addition to that, a lot of these are going to compete with other mods that you are running. So for example, Impulse Recycler will compete with if you need Anti-Barrier and Overload. And then Energy Accelerant is going to be competing with Breach and Clear. Glacial Inheritance also competing with Breach and Clear. So it's, the mods don't really run well together, and I'm going to be strongly recommending that everybody, or at least one per team, has a Breach and Clear on. And honestly, if you're rocking Anarchy in your team, even if someone else on your team has it, having that Breach and Clear is just going to be massive for a lot of this. So that's kind of like what I'm recommending for your artifact. Now, in terms of weapons that you should be on the lookout for, I'm just going to go over like what I typically like to rock, and what you guys will see me running. Vision of Confluence, definitely going to be a huge one. Its impact with its rate of fire is really, really good. It's a solar scout rifle. For me, it's a lot better than Trustee, so that's definitely going to be replacing scout rifles in my opinion. For the any other scout rifle kind of situations, like, you know, going through my dim and what I typically like to hold on to, not really anything's going to be competing with vision too much. But what I will say is that for hand cannons, you do have some choices. You have like 7 Seraph Officer Revolver. You guys know I love this. This is what I ran in all of our GMs last season. It has 4 times the charm and Vorpal weapon. You can really just stand there and shoot into a champion, especially in this case if it's an overload champion. You can just stand there and shoot into it all day long. It is amazing to have. I liked it last season when it was unstoppable, and now this season with it being overload, still does the same thing. Very, very good. And also a big benefit, it can make Warmind Cells. But of course we have Fatebringer back. My explosive payload Firefly one has been doing a lot of work for me. You can also pair that with a Warmind Cell mod to make Warmind Cells off of solar kills, which can sometimes happen from the explosive payload, which is, you know, very, very good. I mean, not explosive payload, the Firefly effect, which is really good. In terms of other kind of hand cannons that you could rock, I'm going to say that you should not go with any 120s. They were barely sustainable during last season when they were unstoppables. You know, I had some luck with Igneous. I had some luck with my True Prophecy, but now with the overload, you know, you're just not going to be able to reload fast enough. And especially if you're trying to take down an overload by yourself with your team, no matter the case, like, you will probably get smacked by the overload, especially if it's a Minotaur. He's just going to run up right to you right when you're mid reload, and you're just going to get domed. So don't even try that. Just save yourself the hassle. Other energy weapons, of course, like we talked about, Ikelos SMG would be a good way to go because it's going to be making you Warmind Cells. If you aren't running Anarchy and you do want to rock a grenade launcher, I will say Salvager Salvo is always going to be a huge one. Definitely, you know, having the Ambitious Assassin with chain reaction, probably going to be the top tier way to go inside Grandmasters. You know, it's just Salvager Salvo is just one of those amazing grenade launchers that they've brought into the game. And I just haven't had a reason to take it off. Palindrome, you know, if you're in a Void Heavy Strike, if you have an Adept Palindrome from last season or even a regular one, that's going to be huge this season as well as Shadow Price. You know, both of those can equip Adept Big Ones, which is a 7.7% damage increase on, you know, mostly almost everything inside of the strike except for miners. So I mean, that's cake. That's almost a no-brainer, honestly. So that's kind of like what I'm feeling and what I'm going to be recommending for a lot of you guys this season. It sucks that we lost bows. It sucks that we lost snipers. But you know, for scout rifles and hand cannons, I think are going to be like the perfect child together, where sometimes you can work in an auto rifle. Auto rifles just make me nervous. You know, I'm going to be honest, like, auto rifles as anti-barrier weapons, auto rifles as anything just make me nervous. I will say anti-barriers for auto rifles are very, very good. But it's just hard to beat out a scout rifle, you know? It's just hard to beat out a scout rifle. And so that's why I'm really going to be pushing and saying that, you know, the scout rifle is going to be the way to go. Now, of course, This can all change after we get the Adept Hung Jury in. Then we could probably throw our Adept Hung Jury up into our kinetic slots. And then for our energy slots, we could probably throw in, you know, Palindrome, or the Icalos hand cannon, to continue making Warmind cells. I'm really going to stress to you guys that you need to be rocking Warmind cells. I know I've mentioned it a lot of times during this segment, but like, you need Warmind cells. You need Warmind cells. They are so free this season. They do so much. You can suppress and blind your enemies. You can burn your enemies. You can push back your enemies. You can heal your friends. You can, you can increase your damage. There are so many things that you can do with Warmind cells. If you are not comfortable with Warmind cells, let me know. I might put out a video on like how to master Warmind cells, because I'm serious. Warmind cells are huge this season. And if you have them down to a pat and you understand what you're doing with them, you will fly through these Grandmasters this season like it is nobody's business. Okay. For heavies, Anarchy, 100% all the way, always Anarchy, majority of the time. There are, you know, the rocket launcher from the Vault of Glass, the Hezen Vengeance, amazing. I have this auto-loading holster Vorpal weapon I like a lot, and I have this Overflow lasting impression one that I like a lot as well. Oopsie. Both of those very, very good. If I'm not rocking Anarchy, you guys will probably see me using those unless there's no solar shields. Anarchy is a fantastic exotic for the purpose of, if you stick something with Anarchy and you swap to an Icalos weapon or a 7 Seraph weapon, it will actually generate a Warmind cell. It has a chance to generate a Warmind cell even if it dies to Anarchy, as long as you have that Icalos or 7 Seraph weapon out. It's a little loophole that you can abuse. And any yellow bar, you're guaranteed to get a Warmind cell to drop out of. So if you kill a champion with Anarchy, swap to your Icalos weapon before it fully dies, you drop a Warmind cell, you then blow up that Warmind cell, you could easily clear a whole room, especially if you have global reach on. So make sure you're remembering to swap up during that. If you're not rocking Anarchy, here are 2 other recommendations that I'm going to say that I like a lot, and they are only kinetics. I have no energy recommendations for this season. I have thought about it time and time again. I was like, maybe Teraba, no. I was like, maybe, Fighting Lion, no. Like, they just don't work. The only one that kind of worked is Symmetry, but even then, it's not worth it. But Witherhorde, and I'm gonna catch you guys off by surprise with this one, honestly. Hawkmoon. Witherhorde and Hawkmoon are 2 really, really good weapons that if you don't have Anarchy, and if you don't want to run Anarchy, or maybe there's no arc shield and you're like, I really don't want to burn an element with Anarchy, Hawkmoon, Witherhorde, both of those are going to do really good. Witherhorde will be your Anarchy replacement. It can do the same thing with Warmind cells, and in addition to that, it leaves giant puddles, which will just take care of enemies. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. And then Hawkmoon for overload is nuts. If you stand there and you fire into a champion, hitting its crit spot every single time, you can melt a champion within seconds. I've tested it in Master Lost Sector solo, where the delta was very similar to that of a Grandmaster. Very, very good. Is going to be insane. Last season, when it was unstoppable, when I was running Proving Grounds and when I was running Arms Dealer Grandmaster carries, I frequently ran Hawkmoon because I could just fire into the unstoppable and it would take down a third of its health, and the reload speed's super quick, and especially if you have a good roll on it too, you are going to do some massive work with those 2. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be recommending there. In terms of exotics, make sure you have the Titan chest piece that increases Thunder Crash. Make sure you have the new Warlock boots, the with the noble benefits. That's going to be gigantic for teamwork. And if you're a hunter, make sure you have Omnioculus and Star Eaters. I think both of those are going to be huge. If you are a hunter running with 2 Ursa Titans and playing it safe, you will be able to dominate with Star Eaters. It is going to be insane, the amount of damage that you'll be able to output and the benefits that you can bring to your team. Like literally, it will be so cracked. But yeah, honestly, those are going to be like the major exotics that you want. And the major exotics that you should probably already have. If you don't already, I guess you could play it safe make sure you have a Celestial Nighthawk for Hunter in the event that you can't get the legs to drop for you and you're running Golden Gun. Have a 6 Coyote if you can't get Omnioculus. Those are some good replacements. If you are a Warlock, you could also make sure that you have Geomag stabilizers for, you know, if your team needs a Chaos Reach, which will happen, especially in the Warden of Nothing strikes this season. Also probably have Luna factions as well, just in case you're ever running a well. And for Titan, really just Ursa Furiosa. That's the only other backup one that I will say for Titans, because usually Titans are either going Thunder Crash or they're going, you know, Banner Shield. So both of those is just gonna, you know, both of those are gonna be nuts, man. But yeah, those are my recommendations, and like really what I'm gonna be telling people, like what you need to be focusing on. Grandmasters are gonna come June 22nd this season, and this is all the information I can share with you to make sure that you are just as prepared as I am for the season to go and just full send it. Light level that you're going to need is going to be 1335, so make sure that you get the 1320 with a plus 15 power increase from your artifact. If you can't get the 1320, or you're lazy like me and don't like running pinnacles, just keep increasing your artifact power till you are at the point where you'll be able to enter into those Grandmasters. Okay, so your artifact power will let you in there. You do not you actually cannot get to base 1335. You need the artifact. So make sure that you get that XP up, grind those bounties, you know, do some Iron Banner, you know, play those activities that you might not like but are still going to reward you with the XP in the power bonus that you need. Okay, but that's gonna do it for this. I will see you guys June 22nd. If you guys need help running Grandmasters, of course I do them all day non-stop on the channel, as well as other PvE Sherpa carries as well. But once Grandmasters comes, that's all we're going to be doing on the channel, just until they get taken away from us. We got Conqueror to get for people, Gilded Conqueror to get, and I'm excited to see some 2s next to some familiar faces as well. That's going to be nice to see. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe for more tips coming at you soon.